Hello everyone, welcome to Fearfully Greedy. In today's episode, I will celebrate that we are over 10,000 euros in unrealized gains. We had good move in the last 2-3 weeks since the addition to the naked wines stock position. At the moment, we're sitting at 31% gain on initial capital, so 37,000 euros. The money weighted rate of return is almost 13% a year on that period. Remember, there's a link in the description for the sheets document where you can check all of this live. Remember, these and all my videos are not to be considered financial advice. I'm not a professional, especially not your professional, and do your own research before investing. I also have positions in all these stocks, so remember that. I want to make a short recap on the graph of the net asset value of the portfolio, of the public portfolio. We started at like 5,000 euros over 3 years ago. It's been over 1,200 days since we started, since I started. There's no way, but it's a way of talking, I guess. Not a lot of movement really. All this upside movement is by cash add-ins, not by much additions. Virtually all of the movement in returns has been in the last in this right here, right? Some by adding the cash, some by just price movement. Also, of course, there's been some realized gains, like 3,500 euros more or less. From the previous companies I own, I used to own TK Tankers, Badla Minerals, Intel, Berkshire. We own for over a year. Almost all positions are over a year or almost 2 years. Biogen I did own, and Shinoken, which is or only my only realized loss in the public portfolio. I have had losses before, for sure. Uh, at the moment, the portfolio is sitting like this. So these are ordered by weight at the moment. And as you see, there are two positions that are carrying 22,000 euros in gains, and there's a few detractors, let's say. The main wine, Naked Wines. They did report a few days ago the annual report. Not much to add from my previous video, so we'll leave it at that. All the others are pretty much they have not moved. Recent news, just yeah, Munger died, but also Dr. Chen died. So the founder and chairman of Nagacorp, he died. I think it's a non-factor for the operation. I think their descendants will keep moving things forward. Also, the current officers, I don't think they will take out the license or anything like that at this time. But we'll keep an eye on it. Still, we are 42% down. It was a small position, but it's quite down. Okay, operations from the reports have been going up, so I'm happy holding at this moment. Internally, if someone knows how to take it out from the zero or something, it's a bankrupt company. It's like 1,000 euros at the moment. I evaluated nothing because it's nothing, but I don't know. I don't know how to take it out and have the same in the zero than here. But well, and then we have Rai International, which is not bankrupt yet, and it was a bigger position. It used to be a much bigger position. They have had a very rough pandemic, let's call it that. A few like war, Mozambique, everything. But yeah, this is the current portfolio as of now. Same, you can keep track of this and dividends and cash additions live in the sheets link. Today we'll talk about two companies that I liked. I think that will be more or less the format. Like in the last weeks, what companies did I like at least or found interesting? And most of them I won't invest anyway. But some of my thoughts on them. First, Pagseguro, the origin of this company, how it came to my radar, was because they are a big client of PAGS or POS manufacturer. The story for Pagseguro starts in 1996, where Universe Online was founded. It's more like a, I don't know if you have the same exact comparison, but like a Yahoo of sorts, like an online server. They have news and they have many different websites, and then eventually 2006 they launched Pagseguro, which was like to do payments online. They facilitate that service. Then on 2013 the first point of sale like physical devices were released, like with 200,000 merchants, clients. Then 2016 they started like mass POS, like TV commercials, like full steam, 1.4 million merchants. 2018 they do IPO in the New York Stock Exchange. They already at 4 million clients. In 2019 they launched like banking services and a neo bank called PagBank. 5.2 million merchants, but now 2.7 million final like customers like for the bank. And today there are 6.7 million merchants and 30 million bank clients. It's in the New York Stock Exchange until ticker PAGS. And to take a rough look, it's a company that has had tremendous growth. Okay, if we take a look at revenues, 2.6 billion. This real, so Brazilian currency, too close to 9 billion. So and this is 18 to 22, like, or 23 if you want. Net income has not followed along at this high clip, but it's still growing. Total assets have grown tremendously, also more than revenues, and liabilities also. Since they become a bank, that makes sense. Like it's been financed with some debt also, but yeah, still it doesn't look that bad asset to liability side. Okay. Uh, Also, how to think about this is there are these two segments for Pagseguro, not for Universal Online, which that is independent. Okay, Universal Online will see it's their main shareholder. Okay, first the big segment, which is Pagseguro, the POS, the sales online, the for merchants. I converted to dollars, $3 billion, 1 billion in gross profit. 65% of that is operating income. So good margins, decent margins. Clients 6.7 million. The growth, if we take a look at revenues, for income is a bit different, but revenues is like 3 times, okay, in 19 to 23. So that's huge growth. Then if we take PagBank, they launched on 19, so maybe it's not a good comparison, but they have grown to 30 million. There's no real profit really, so there's some gross profit which is half of revenues, but it's a tiny fraction. It's like 10% of POS. Okay, but here there's a lot of the opportunity that they think. Okay, first thing that came to mind is I have no idea about the Brazilian market. So how ripe is it? They say that 56% of small entrepreneurs they don't have. Well, opposite. So 44 have, don't have, and 56 do have. So there's a big part of the market which don't have POS. May is like self-employed, like some kind of legal entity for self-employed people. That's what I got, and they are the leader in that segment. And most of them are they only have like one server, like acquiring company for like the POS, so they think there's a huge opportunity there for POS. Then if we go to banking, there's 8 million Brazilians without bank relationship, and then there's like 27 million Brazilians that are underbanked. So they think there's also a huge opportunity here to first serve some of the current, mainly the current ones that have other banking but not fully banked. Okay, if we take a look at the POS like penetration, like 55% of the Brazilians use cards, which is much less than developed countries to this day, but similar to China. Okay, there are competing technologies, and we don't know if we'll get to these levels or not, but good gains. If we compare to 2016, they had 1% market share. Now they have 10% market share on what is POS, so the devices to get paid. And then something interesting I read is PIX. PIX, what is PIX? So PIX is something that the Bank of Brazil released, like the official banks. They started to wanting to do some instant payment solutions, but from the government, which to me is surprising that the government gets so involved and maybe so creative, we could say. Of course, in COVID, this gets reaccelerated and it launches in November. Okay, November 2020. And what is PAGS is the service to do instant transactions, payments, person to person, person to business, business to business, person to government, business to government. So you can do payments to everyone by alias, by phone number, by a few things. There are some restrictions which they try to keep away of instant fraud and money laundering. So there's a max on how many transactions you can do. There are some limits to it, and the government controls it. But the service is not the service, but you do it on your bank app or your neobank app, where you log in and there's like the peak service, and then you say what you want to pay, you receive, you send that to someone. You can also go like to a supermarket and take out money with the peaks or pay your grocery and extra, and then take the 20 extra dollars or like maybe 100 extra reais back with you physically. So I don't know. It seems it brings some thought. Okay, it's through the banking service. So they are not trying to outcompete, but it's some regulation. Like they are this very controlled, let's say, by the government. Ownership structure, there's Universal Online, which still owns 36, almost 37%. The rest is free float. There's some treasury shares, probably for stock compensation. Universal Online is this like online, well, uh, well, they say that 9 out of 10 internet users in Brazil they use UOL, so they probably have many websites. I'm not familiar with it, but probably they do know. So valuation by the current cash flows a bit more estimated. They had some regulation that lowered their income on the banking side. They put limits to like the credit rates and on the credit cards. So I try to normalize that, but still I come out to 20, $25 US dollars maximum. I'd say $20 is my rough valuation of Pagseguro. For me, if there's breaking points, is that I think there are better opportunities. Even in my watch list, there are better opportunities. I do think so. There's a huge growth opportunity, so probably growth profile is huge, but there's so much uncertainty. There's the Brazil risk, the banking in Brazil risk, which is on top of that. To me, I have no idea, honestly. Pix adds a layer of complexity. Like, can this compete with some of their services, with their payments? Because this competes with their POS in some way. So I don't know, that adds some thought into it. And that adds thought even to the PAX position, because services like this, which are popping all around, if people don't have a lot of cards yet, people are so used to cards, so it's hard to compete with cards. But in countries that they don't have that many cards, it's easier. Like there's less of a moat for cards and packs. I'm not very confident in valuing banks, so their banking side, I have no idea how to value it. It's still a small part of them, but I'm not very confident in my banking valuation. I will keep an eye on it, but I'm not buying. Okay, that's for Pagseguro. So if we go to doc DR Horton, it's not doctor, DR Horton. It's a builder in the United States, and where it comes from, so where I got the tip, it's from Berkshire Hathaway. They bought it in the Q2 of 2023, and I was just checking a few weeks ago, and I saw that company. It looked interesting on valuation, so let's take a look. They are the number one America builder in America by number of homes and by volume. Okay, they operate in 33 states and 118 markets. They do construct and sell single-family homes, detached complex and triplex. They also offer financing and insurance. They focus mostly on the more affordable single homes, okay, because single homes are maybe by nature not affordable, or that's why the idea that we have in Europe, that's a single home. Well, depends on where you live, okay, but they focus mostly on this cheaper segment, we could say, under 350k. It's like almost 50% of what they do, which is important because, as we'll see, there's a lot of housing need. there's a deficit in housing in the US. If we take some rough look at the numbers, they did 17 billion in 2019, they did 35 billion in 2023. They ended the year in September 30. The before tax margin, it's like it used to be 12%, and now it's 18%. And it lowered, it peaked in 2022, but inflationary pressures have raised costs quite significantly. Return on equity is pretty high, as we will also see. But let's say they do these days maybe 5 billion, maybe a bit less, 5 billion, around that, 4 to 5 billion in profit. Depends if you put taxes or take them out, that changes the number, but 5 billion, 4 to 5 billion. And these have been the numbers. Revenues have been going up, as we were seeing. Return on equity has been pretty constant, around 20%. Leverage has been trending lower, which is good, and the book value per common share it's been going up, although they have been paying quite good dividend, but also they have been buying shares, so probably that's why it's going up so much. This is an interesting graph. They have been the number one builder in the USA since 2002, but if you see the graph on closings, even in the financial crisis, it went down, but uh, not by a lot. Sorry, I'm my bad. The line is market share. Okay, so it's a bit tricky, and this is total U.S. housing, so we'd have to do some numbers. But it definitely did go down quite a lot. Their market share kept constant, which makes sense. But they failed. They felt so it was flat, so they felt this loss also. 1,200 closings. This is in thousands, so million closes to 250,000, let's say. So it's like a 70% loss. So of course, building housing is cyclical. We know that, but their growth in market share is very impressive. I think they started business on 87 on the first in Houston. Okay, let's go. Next, they are now like top five in a lot of housing markets. They are operating in more and more markets every year. They are growing by organically, but also some acquisitions of smaller builders, and they tuck them in. Okay, but they are a big player. They are number one globally, but in almost half of their markets they are number one. So they are the big, and that comes with a lot of scale benefits and know-how and branding and all these things. If they do a good job, of course, if they get good employees in. Return on equity has been constant and pretty high, we could say. Leverage has been trending down, as we're saying, because it's easier to get high returns on equity if you are more levered, we could say, but leverage has been moderate. What are they doing with the cash? Okay, they have done in the last 5 years like 10 billion in cash flow. In half of it has been returned, the other has been trying to improve the operations. Okay, but if you are a shareholder, expect some good repurchases. The price, as I said, I think it's pretty good still at the moment, and still some dividend. Not a huge dividend, more repurchase, but good dividend. Then problem in the future, if the recession does come eventually, or it's here, who knows, the balance sheet needs to be strong. It needs to hold the beating. Okay, at the moment they have like 19 billion in houses on construction and land development, 3.4 billion in cash. And then what do they owe? They owe like 6 billion on notes. This like short term, but yeah, they total have like 10 billion of money they owe. Okay, so if business keeps going as is, this is okay. Okay, if not, have a huge problem. They only need like with this $40 million a year on interest, and then they have these maturities in 2025, 26, 27, 28. That's mostly the starting part, and they do have more maturities. Okay, by current numbers, this should be easy, but the thought is that the recession will hit and hit hard, and the numbers will be very different. I do agree. Okay, if the recession comes, of course, there's like this housing shortage. There's a big shortage in low price homes at the moment, and it's still 30% lower than in 2019. What is supply of this housing? Okay, so there's a huge need for these cheaper houses, which I don't know if the, the some part of DR Horton comes into it, but they are also experiencing some inflationary pressures, which make these houses less affordable. So if all hits at once, I think I wouldn't like to hold it, this stock. Okay.
Ens arrisquem?
Hmm.
Sí?
No sé, porque esta lletra no te la tinta.
Saps què? Ho he fet del revés.
Ah,
No ho he girat.
clar, no llegirà.
Ho he fet del revés.
If we take a look at housing starts in 2019, we're at the same levels. Okay, and the deficit is still there. There were much less like on the recession, but still it's not overgrown. So I think long term they are in a good position. But if the recession comes, I don't think that is a big enough factor. If capital is short for everyone, I don't think that even if there's a deficit, people will stick to renting and other things. So mm, just long term, I think it's a factor, this outlook. But long term, short term, they could be hit hard, and they are a bigger percentage of the they have a bigger market share. So big market moves, they will hit them harder, even if they are like this better kind of builder. Okay, so valuation, if we take the current numbers and expect no recession, they are worth like 300. If they keep the same numbers as of now, not big growth. If the recession hits hard, these numbers might look very different, but long term, I think they are all right. Most of the valuation is longer term, so it's a matter of if they can hold that hit at the start. For me, there are no hard breaking points at the moment. I do like the returns, the story, the operation. I think they are good, very good company. But home building is cyclical. They have pricing power, but not a lot. Even in a shortage, I think they get hit very hard by this recession if it comes. They have moved tremendously recently from $70 at the bottom to $150 as of now. So entering at $70 is very different than entering at $150. Like you're buying at 50%. So it's a company that I will keep an eye, but I'm not buying as of now. Okay. Uh, that's all for me probably for this year. I will see you in January. I will keep bringing you updates on the portfolio and interesting companies that I take a look and maybe I don't like. But yeah, look at this company. It's great, great. If you got it early, it's great, and probably it will keep going up. Maybe if recession keeps hard, it's a company I will keep on my watch list to enter. Maybe if it gets slashed pretty hard because I think it's a long-term compounder. I do think that. Okay. Well, everyone, be safe, take care. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. I will see you on the other side. Bye bye.